know, this is part of the setup. Now, you look at what we do in the front row, it applies to tackling, blowing over rucks, everything that you do in rugby. This posture and strength through the core is really important. I'm going to need you quite a bit, Smithy. The first thing, you get your on the tight head side, you've got to be square or a little bit further up. If we take Smithy here and you hop around this side, you're the tight head now. You put that foot up, this foot up, yep. Okay, so, sorry, change feet, you're the tight head. Right, if he's a tight head and he's got this foot up, go down, he's going to go in very easily. And one thing you don't want to do at tight head is to go up in the air or go in. If you do, and it's not part of your bloody scrum plan, then your scrum's all to pieces. So he's going to start off nice and square, which everyone's going to do now. And the first thing they want him to do is to pump that chest out, because we want two arches. We want this one across the back here, so how big's your chest? And the second one is down here. Now everyone stand there with your fingers on your hips. And I want you to point the pecker to the sky. So tilt your pelvis forward, now try and bend over. Fucking difficult. If you do it, tilt it back now we're starting to get this arch here. The problem is that everyone's a legend at 3/4 set. Most of us fall to pieces when we've got to go down. So when we're looking at a tight head setting up, he's nice and square, his chest is out, we've got this arch down the bottom here. They're going to a 3/4 set, so you're not fully down. He's perfect there, that is beautiful. We're also looking at this angle here, and Chrono uses the old broomstick when we're checking it out, trying to get, we definitely don't want the head below the arse, but we don't want it too high either, because what happens if it's too high? Hey? You're going to have to duck in, aren't you, when you go in. So when you're getting them from here down to a full set, that's when they usually fall to pieces. And it's usually because they're bending from here and they're not doing anything else. So we've really got to get these bending as well. So we get that all down from a half set to a full set. And the next thing we're really looking for, because we want, you know, you look at Carl Heyman, who's bloody 6'4", if he sits back on his heels too much, when they ask him to engage, he's going to have to come up and in, and you see what happens to the head. So we've got to try and get 3/4 of the chest in front of the knee here. And you watch Carl Heyman, a big unit, when he's struggling for space, he just chucks his ass into the locks, just moves the locks back with his ass. And that gets him on from his heels onto his toes. So have a look, Smithy. Okay, we want about 5 degrees from arse to head. So we don't want the head down. Now most of your props you'll see sitting like that. You stand up, that's an unnatural position. When you go in, he's got to duck his head, he's got a shoulder to go under, and it's quite bloody hard to get in there. So what we want him to do is go back down. You talk about looking over the bloody pair of sunglasses up through your eyebrows. That's quite an important part of the prop, so you can get him down a little bit further. Now if you stand up, his head's in that natural position. So that setup is quite an important part of what he's doing, and you'll see the tight heads who are having problems, they got one of those pieces wrong for a start. Now the next thing is what we do when we contact. Hop over there, you're a loose head now. 1996, Olo Brown went to South Africa with that team that won the first bloody, if you want to hop over this side guys, because a lot of what we're doing is happening on this side. Olo Brown went over to South Africa, and Ostrand was playing for South Africa, and Olo actually caused a change in the rules through a certain technique that he was doing. You just come down into a scrummaging position. You look at guys like Kays Muse, okay, he was a great All Black, but he wasn't a great tight head. And Kays Muse used to scrum up on the back of people. When you do this, you know, he can hold me up all day like this, but if I scrum on his head, he's down straight away. So as a tight head, and you can watch any game of Super 12 on this weekend, and you'll see the good ones are scrumming on the head, and the ones who are struggling are scrumming up here, and they're usually struggling because something they're doing with their arm or their shoulder. In 1996, Olo caused a change to the rules. Why I'm telling you this is it's a good way of getting you to feel what the perfect technique is. And what we're doing, what he did, and he buggered Osterant. I mean, Osterant was 136 kgs, Olo Brown was maybe 116, 118. If you smash those two against each other evenly, who's going to win? 136 kg is going to win every time, unless you take his power away. And Olo took his power away just by doing this. We're going to hit it about half pace. Fuck me, crouch and hold, engage. All right, see that? That's what Olo did, put his hand straight down onto the ground. Now that's illegal now. You can't do that. But if you can't take this guy's power away, and there's some fucking big loose heads running around, then he's gonna smash you. The other thing is, the distance that we have here is not big enough for a tight head to come down here into this position, engage, and be in that perfect pushing position. I have to take some of his space. Go down. To take some of his space, I need to bend his head and shorten him up. If I don't, if he's able to engage with a nice straight back, he's going to take some of my space. So how do we do this in terms of the rules these days? There's 2 or 3 different ways of doing it. You look at what's his name, the tight head for Canterbury, Campbell Johnson. Campbell's a short gripper. Come down here. He will go around the arm like this, and he's got the head under control, and everything you do with tight head is to do with tension on the shoulder. Obviously, you look at Carl Heyman, you know, him and Somerville are probably the only 2 in New Zealand that I see that can scrum with a shoulder without massive emphasis on the arm. And everyone below them, like Tialada, guys like that, are struggling because they haven't got the rest of it in place. And what I look at is where this elbow ends up in terms of the shoulder. If you want to look at any of these South African guys, they will scrum like this. They will chase the arm, and you'll see their arm way back like this. You see his nice straight back? It's beautiful there. He's in a nice strong position. So if you do that, you're allowing him to get into a nice stretched out position with 120 at the knees. You just come and hold him up for a sec. Just get that arm up. Now look at this. There's your 120 and your 120. Now that is what you're looking for from a loose head prop. So you've got to stop that happening. Now how do you stop that happening? You either become a Carl Heyman or a Greg Somerville who have over years and years with bloody Chrono worked that shoulder, and but even when they got over to England and Chrono turned up, Carl said, I need the glove. What he was talking about was something I've been talking to Chrono about. Olo Brown goes down like that. How do you replicate that within the rules? You just come down against me. I talk about a long grip, getting that elbow in front of that shoulder. And I'll show you, I'll get everyone to have a go at this. Crouch and hold, engage. Okay, so if I go out here, now if I grip around here, that's quite comfortable for you, eh, Smithy? Yep. Right, if I go forward, what's that do to your head? Squashes it. Right, pulls it down, makes you look back between your legs, eh? Yep. Now, if I do that with my arm up, it's quite comfortable, isn't it? Yep. If I pull that arm down, yep, it makes it a lot harder for you, doesn't it? So if I go into the scrum, pushing my arm out, I don't even have to be, what Chrono's talking about with the glove is not even looking for a bind. It's all to do with tension. So I'm not even going to grip here. I'm just going to go long, and I'm going to pull that elbow down. Now, if your elbow's out or up here, he just moves around underneath it. If it's down, he's stuck underneath the shoulder, and that comes back to what we are trying to achieve, either scrumming on the back or scrumming on the head. And if your elbow is forward, I'll just show you the first one, engage, right, I'm up on your shoulder now, right? Yep. It's really hard, even if I want to try and pull that shoulder down, it's bloody hard. If I go down, what does that do to your head? So control of that head is so damn important. So could I just get everyone to pair up along here? Your forward pack is easy to achieve. You've always got a backup hooker, so you chuck them in here. You've got your 2 props, you've got your 2 locks, and you've got your 2 flankers. Now, this here is called 4-on-4. The only way it works is if these 2 are the only 2 working. So everyone else hits and then holds at about 50-60%. So if you 2 fight, you fuck the whole thing up. So it's not about you, it's about the props. You guys have to be on for the engagement. Now what happens is crouch and hold. We won't go 100%, but we'll have a look at Smithy's technique here. Crouch and hold, engage. Oh, Smithy. Well, scrum out, Smithy. Scrum out. Scrum out with your head. Oh, look at that. Good boy. Break. See, you've fucking missed your calling. Just moved one out. Now, what this does is allow you to isolate the props under game pressure, because they have everything that they would usually have in a game. They've got their lock behind them, their hooker beside them, and their flanker. So they have all the pressures. You put down a 3-on-3 and they're skidding, their feet are going out because they've got no lock behind them. Also, when somebody gets their technique right with a 3-on-3, you don't have the pressure of a lock behind him or a flanker behind him. So you don't get that pressure where he bends his back and the lock keeps pushing. You don't get to see somebody destroyed like they would do in a game. Now, when the Chrono started using this with the All Blacks, and when they put Greg Somerville in after Heyman was out with his bloody sore toe and everything, they put him through 30 scrums against 3 loose heads, and the loose heads got to just rotate. And what I do is I add in this guy having to run, sprint back and forward, come back. If you're trying to get a tight head right, this is game simulation that you can put him through. Bloody hard work, but anyone here who's been through a scrum setup session can stand here and can tell me who's won this scrum. So it's a real good thing to, a tool for you guys. You don't necessarily need the scrum machine. I mean, we're not using the scrum machine as much as we did, you don't go and do 100 scrums in a row anymore, because all that can get you is timing, measuring your power, that sort of stuff, but it doesn't get any of this. Okay, so that's one tool that you can use after somebody sets your scrum up. Yeah, how's that feel? Feels like a scrum though, doesn't it? Except the opposition is pretty weak, isn't it? Yeah, standing up first. Right, chest out. Is that as big as it goes? an exercise for this is, you look at Greg Somerville. He has trained his body. Greg Somerville walks around like this and stuck like that, which is great for a scrummager. So you actually want him to, you put your hands behind your back like this, everyone, and try and pull your arms down and pull your shoulder blades together. I want to feel that coming together like that. That sort of, now we've got a big chest. Look at that, about 3 times the size of the other one you had. Okay, so that exercise, it's a good warm-up exercise for your front rowers, and get them to understand that getting that bloody chest out is quite important. There's a heap of work that we do on the core, and we'll come to that in a minute, but all around this area. But that there, so right now, just take your arms away. Now put your chest out again. Right, good. See, look at that, much bigger. Okay, next one is in here. You got that for us? Now get down into your scrummaging position. Okay, yeah, still maintaining that. That's not too bad. Draw a line from here. We're probably not too bad. Where are we on his feet? Okay, we don't want you too far forward. The next thing that a lot of our props overbalance as soon as their locks come in, and they overbalance firstly because they're too far forward, or what their locks are doing is having that, they're pushing forward on them. I just get everyone to stand there and pretend you're standing on the beach, right? And I want you to grip the sand, pick the sand up in your toes. Okay, then just go down into this scrummaging position. Just pick the sand up, and you should be able to balance quite well going forward. Now just stand there normally and do the same thing and go forward. You sort of lose your balance a lot easier. Get up's not right. Okay, break up. You were perfect. Okay, he engaged, Smithy engaged, took up all that space that was on offer. He got himself into 120 and 120, and he was down low and straight. You couldn't even stretch into it, could you? So that race to the centre line is so important. And Chrono's got a guy to make up an apparatus for this, which is just like a harness. And if you bend down, it's got this bloody thing here. When we talk about guys engaging, what moves first when you engage? What would you think? What's the first movement? Is it hips? Is it knees? Is it ankles? Eh? Hips? Okay, that when the hips move first, go down. you get the old arse coming up when the hips move first. So you actually want to trigger it in this motion, which is ankles, knees, then hips. And it's hard to get a player to get the body awareness of how that works. So Chrono's got this bloody harness that he sets up in front of a scrum machine. He's got the bloody thing on here, crouch and hold, engage, and pulls them forward. And they trigger from the ankles first. Paul Mitchell went to the Blues with a pretty big reputation. I watched him destroy Olo Brown a few times, because he went around here and he pulled Olo Brown, and look what that's done to Olo for a start. I think it was against the Reds over there in a pre-season one. Fuck, I've never seen Olo get cleaned out, because Olo let him do that because he was just bloody coming into the setup. Fitzy used to bind, all your rugby jerseys got a seam down here, and where Smithy's going is right on that seam. Now you get hold of that seam, you won't let go of it too easily. You get hold here and she can bloody slip off pretty easily. So that's important to allow him to really square up. Carry on.
Then my Lucid comes in, and depending on the height of my Lucid is where he goes. Someone like David Briggs used to sit quite a way behind me, depending on what we're trying to achieve, but I like a Lucid where you sit behind me. Yeah,
nice and tight, try and get your shoulder over top of his.
So we head on, we head on hip.
Yep. Now, the referees may not let you do that all the time, but there's a lot of three-quarter hip going down. That's when you slip it back over, because that is actually safe. Having it loose like this, all you get is fucking ribs popped and bloody tight heads coming in on you, and it's bloody tough, isn't it? Okay. Now, what are we looking at on the engagement, Smithy?
Well, once we get down to here in the situation, my guys are on their toes. I've got a break basically, and I'm waiting for a trigger from the back to release.
Yep. So that triggering is really important. Again, you still want to see this arch in the back here. You want to see this one across here, because if he's going into the scrum like this, as you hit the scrum with the power from behind, he's just going to buckle and go up in the air. So he's got to be set up like the props are, and he wants to be at least getting to the centre line with this nice arch here. This foot here is bloody important. You see a lot of hookers, and it's happening in MPC level and Super 12 level, where you'll see them way out here for a start. There might be good balance here, but as soon as it engages, bang, they get nailed down onto their knee, and they've got no power. They probably can't hook because they've been pinned. So if you get that too far forward, again, you look at a loose head prop. What happens to a loose head if he's too spread this way? He's going to hinge. So if you get too far out of kilter there, you're also going to hinge. Bang, you're going to get dropped down. Okay, so that distance there and that trigger, you can set up 3 on 3. And you just set up 3, crouch and hold, engage. You just come around behind and video what's happening with his feet. Because when he finishes the engagement, he wants